This is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Now today I've got this to show you. This is Perseverance Soul 1119, and I've called this the Foot, the Vase and the Ugly. Now I'm going to show you these things first, and then I'm going to show you where they are on this Gigapan, which is rammed with goodies. About every 5 or 10 Gigapans that I do, it's probably near 1 in 10. You get loads of stuff together in one area. And that's usually because we're in an area which is basically a bunch of buried and ruined structures on the ground. And there are things in between the structures like statues and little figurines and broken artefacts and eroded objects on the ground which aren't completely buried. A lot of this stuff was probably completely buried at one point in sand. And the sand's been blown away, revealing some of the stuff on top of these piles of rocks, okay? Now, I call them piles of rocks. They're more like kind of groups of rocks that were once structures. More on that in a minute. I'll show you these things first, and I'll show you where to look. This is the foot. Now, this is about twice the size of a human foot, and I think it's probably part of a statue, okay? I've shown similar things to this before from Gale Crater, and we have the ankle area here. This is the left foot. There's the heel, bottom of the foot there. Bit flat-footed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 toes. Okay. Heavily pitted. This is probably very, very ancient indeed. I would say many thousands of years. I don't know exactly. The erosion on Mars takes longer because of the lower air pressure, so things would probably last 5 to 10 times longer on the surface before they're unrecognisable. Okay, that's just a fact. The air pressure is not as low, I think, as NASA make out, but it's still way lower than ours. A tiny fraction of ours, okay? So wind doesn't erode things as much. So there's the foot. This is what I call the vase, but maybe an urn or a pot or something that's got a lip on the top there. And it's a nice kind of symmetrical shape. It's got what looks like part of a broken handle or something on the side there, okay? Sticking up. This is just one of the rocks with some holes in, which looks a bit like an anchor, a stone anchor. It may not be, but often anchors like this were used on Earth thousands of years ago, where they just get a large boulder and then drill holes in it, and you'd run a rope through there. Okay, maybe, maybe not. There's this thing, which is a bit vague. I'll explain this one in a minute. It's not very easy to see, that one, because it's a bit far off. There's the foot. There's this thing, which looks like a bit like a moai kind of head. But this is small. This is probably less than a foot tall. We've got a headdress. We've got a big eye. We've got a nose and a mouth, a chin and an ear just here. Quite a large ear just there. And shoulders. It's like a bust carved into this rock. And part of a structure here, which is broken down. I'll show you that on the pan in a minute. There's this that looks like a statue head of a weird sort of person buried in the ground, but the head's sticking up, just there. Okay, you can see 2 eyes, you can see a puggish nose and a mouth there with teeth. Not a lot of detail there, and quite badly pitted. Then we have this thing. Now this is crazy, right? Let me get a bit closer. There we are. This is a person holding a figurine or child or something similar, just here, an object. There's the head. There's a row of teeth here. There's the chin. There's 2 eyes. There's 2 nostrils here. Now let me show you that with the magnifier. I'll go back a little bit. I've got a smaller version here, a small clip and a closer clip here, right? And I've got the raw clip there as well, just to prove that it's all there, right? I'll show you the magnifier because you can't see these things very clearly until you zoom in. Eye, 2 nostrils, very round nostrils, puggish little nose again, chin, a row of teeth here, sharp teeth. Then we have, if I zoom in, I'll do it this way. We have an arm here, which is kind of broken off on the fingers seem to be broken off on this one here, maybe. And then we have an arm coming round here with fingers holding an object here, okay? Now, this isn't very clear. This is very, very old. I would say many thousands of years old, at least 10,000 years old, right? Possibly way, way older. So you're not going to see a lot of detail because this stuff's eroded and pitted and may have been fairly crude when it was made. If this is a statue, an arm here, we have an arm coming around here with fingers, like a hand, and then we have a figurine here being held, chin here, teeth here, jagged teeth, like this. Two very dark round nostrils here. We have an eye here, then we have another eye here with a sort of bag under it there. The head comes up to there, the face, and we have like a hat or headdress coming back over the back, which looks a bit like it's got a face on it, but it may not be, with lips here, right? Could be wrong there. It may just be an optical trick. The nose is kind of upturned like that, very puggish, like some I've shown before. Very strange, right? And we got like finger detail here. But this is kind of, this bit seems to be broken off here because it's straight. So that's what I'm seeing. Now, it's not easy to see, obviously, because this thing's very ancient and eroded and sort of pitted. But that's what I'm seeing. And it's similar to some of the things I've shown before, but to actually find the figure holding something like that is really interesting. And when you go in close, you can actually see that this thing is holding has got like a little head there with like a little mouth and what look a bit like two eyes there, and the head comes around like that. There's hair on top, and there's a sort of body there and a sort of arm or something sticking up there. At least that's kind of what it looks like, right? Crazy, absolutely crazy. What I'll do actually, let's get rid of that. I'll increase the contrast and see if I can drag that out a bit more. Let's turn the contrast up. Brighten this down a bit. Contrast up. If I push that, you start to see that stick out more. That figurine here in the middle, just there, okay? You can see a head-shaped thing there. You can see these fingers. You can see those teeth, that row of teeth there, right? Let's do that a bit more. Now you can see that figurine there. So it's still difficult to see, but if you play with the contrast with these things, you can get these things to stand out better, right? So we've got a vase, we've got a foot. We have the Moai kind of dude with a headdress and a big eye, which is really cool. We have that sort of head statue sticking out of the sand. And we have the sort of weird proto-human kind of ape-like looking figure holding a child or figurine or something just here, okay? But there's loads of other things in here. This is where the figurine is, right, down here. The mother with child, ugly mother with child, whatever you want to call it, right? It's right down there. So that's the ugly one. And right above that, right in the distance, we have what looks like the top of a structure just sticking up here, which is really odd. Now that's probably about a mile away, I would say, maybe half a mile or a mile, something like that. So you've got all these valleys and dunes in the distance and buttes. And there seems to be like a pyramid here as well, just here. But it's really faint. Where I've brightened up the image, it's kind of lost. But you can see like a step pyramid there. So we may see that a bit closer in coming days and weeks, hopefully, as well as this thing as well. This thing sticking up is really odd. It looks like some weird kind of structure just there, right? So that was cool. Unfortunately, this side of the pan is a really sort of pukey colour. This often happens with these gigapans, right? But the middle looks okay and the right looks fine. There's a lot more detail to be seen here because this stuff is closer. And this is where most of the artifacts you will find are. There's that weird thing. In fact, on here it looks kind of better. You can actually see that mouth there with teeth just there. But it's too vague. You can't see enough because it's very dark and in shadow. There's the vase thing, okay? I mean, that just looks totally artificial to me. It's got symmetry left, right. It's got a lip on top. It's got what seems to be a broken handle or something sticking out the side of it there, okay? It looks like one of those Baghdad battery vases that was found in ancient Iraq or something. Thousands and thousands of years old. And there's loads of weird things that look a bit like statues on the ground, like heads and stuff like this thing in the background, but they're too far away. So I don't usually bother with those. There's dozens of things. There's a weird thing here as well. It's like a frog with a leg sticking out. Very strange. Let's go back a little bit and I'll show you the magnifier. Just there. Like a frog with some kind of leg sticking out, and this very weird stuff going on there. Don't know about that really. And there's that statue head sticking up with the puggish features there. You can see the teeth there, right? If I go back a bit, I'll use the magnifier. The magnifier is good because it helps me point things out. There's teeth here, see that? Just here. Puggish nose, eye socket there. Okay. I mean, it may not be. It may just be a rock that's shaped like one, but it looks too good to be just a random rock. And here's the foot, which is kind of smack in the middle of the pan, really, right in the middle. And there it is. It's a little bit vague because the colours here, I've had to brighten it so we can see stuff, but you lose colour definition when you do that. But there it is, you can see it. You can see the foot broken off there, just above the ankle. This, I would say, is quite large. I would say this is about a foot or two in length. Maybe 18 inches, maybe 14 or something like that. I would say it's about a foot plus. It's not human size, this is way bigger, so this was probably part of a statue that was stood here, right? Quite a large statue, I would say. Right, so that's pretty crazy. And that Moai looking dude here, that looks a bit like a kind of soldier or officer, is just here on this kind of ridge, little ridge, which I think is a ruined structure just here. And this is kind of like the front, maybe part or near the front entrance here. There it is, okay? Now if you take a clip of that and darken it and play with the contrast, that will stand out better, right? It's a bit pasty on here. I've over brightened it slightly just so we can see everything, because if you go too dark, the shadows tend to hide a lot of stuff. And often the good things to see or find are in the shadows. As I've shown before, there are many different, or there were, I should say, many different types of people on Mars. Some were very small, some were human-sized, and some were very large. The large ones were between sort of 10 and 20 feet tall. There was a whole bunch of them our size, which seemed to be human. But there are also there's quite a lot of smaller people at one stage who were only 1 or 2 feet tall, who looked kind of dwarf-like or kind of troll-like. And I think that's what this is. It's one of the little troll people who kind of look proto-human, but they're who knows what they are, really. Yeah, unbelievable, right? But I've shown many examples of these, and that's probably another one. It doesn't look like a preserved body. It looks more like an actual depiction of one, okay? Let's have another quick look at that before we go. So, basically, I can leave you guys and girls out there to look through this Gigapan, and I'm sure you will find loads more crazy things. I've only concentrated on the larger things that are clear enough to show in a video, okay? We also have this rock with the face carved in it there as well. See that? So I think these were kind of marking where the buildings were, like where the front entrance was, perhaps. So we got that one there and that one there were opposite. Right, and we got this path coming in between. So this here is a structure. This is a room here, just here. There's another structure here. There was another one here. There was another one back here. And there was a whole row of them along here, okay? You can actually see the path there coming along. And these things are either side. So we got this one here as well, see? So we've got the path, and we got this carving or statue on this cornerstone here, which is probably marking another structure that's here, right? All collapsed down and buried in sand. So if you were to dig this stuff up, you would find probably paving under here, maybe. Like a little path or road. And another one coming across. There's a junction here going off this way and down there. And it comes out along here and it goes down here. You can follow them round. So we got groups of rocks in the ground with statuary and objects interdispersed in between them, which suggests this is a village buried in sand. An ancient village which was destroyed thousands of years ago, probably by the nuclear war on Mars or something similar, like an asteroid or something. Anyone still here when that happened would have been disintegrated. And any that sort of survived that would have probably frozen because the atmosphere changed rapidly, blast frozen. So a lot of the remains we see on the ground are probably people that were blast frozen and then preserved and mineralized later, okay? Because when you destroy an atmosphere with a massive explosion, everything freezes very, very quickly indeed. There we are. There's that dude. So I'll leave you to look at this yourself. I mean, you could spend hours. Well, I'm just going to flick through some of these for you. This is the double meme here, with the smaller clip at the bottom. You can see it clearer from this distance. You can see the hand here, the figurine, the chin and teeth, nostrils. And if I zoom in a bit, you can see those nostrils are perfectly symmetrical. And those jagged teeth there, okay? If you see rows of teeth, it ain't a rock. Here's the foot, full screen. It's a bit pink, this. I don't like the colour of this, so I've got a negative of it here. You can see those toes there, look. There we are. So, these things are definitely there. I mean, this foot's really large. There's that thing again. Here's that weird gargoyle thing with the double face thing, but it's not very clear. You can just about make out that mouth there. There's the vase. There's the raw image of that. That's what it looks like raw, very pasty. These are totally overexposed, these Perseverance images. I don't know why. They never used to be. I think when this rover landed, the images were darker and much more defined. I think they deliberately changed the settings on the cameras on the rover just so that it just bleaches everything out. And you can't really see anything until you enhance it like this. Okay? So there's that. This is the raw image. You can see it all there. All that information is there. It's just hard to see until you do this. Okay, there it is. Really nice, that one. Check out my playlists. Go on my channel. Check out some of my previous videos. There's similar figures here, which are actual dead aliens that were preserved in a similar way. The one I showed you today, I don't think is an actual body holding something. I think it's just an actual carving. The way it's situated on that corner says to me that it marks the corner of a building or the entrance of a building, okay? And I think it must have been pretty common for the Martians to have these things outside their house. And this is one of them here, because we've got a pathway going up here. And the statue type things and carvings are either side of it. So you'd have walked between them, right? And these would have been walls and structures here. It's all broken down and buried. But you can see the patterns in the ground. Excuse my voice, I've got quite bad allergies at the moment. So if any of you have actually got any tips for a natural remedy for hay fever, please let me know in the comments, because I've tried everything and none of it really works. Thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you soon.